All right, so I've been avoiding everybody else's breakdowns like the plague since this morning because I wanted this to just be my thoughts with no interference from the outside world, which has been part of the issue with this series release. But here's my episode 7 review and breakdown. Spoilers ahead for sure. All we've been waiting for was Soul's explanation, and at this point, knowing we had one more flashback episode, I knew this would be the way they explained it. I still would have rather also seen May's reaction as Soul told her all of this, but from what we saw, May saw it. We didn't need to see the explanation from her point of view. He needed to be the one to tell Osha what happened on Brenda. Now it seems as though she'll get an explanation from Chimere, and who knows how it'll be told or how she'll feel afterwards towards Soul. Many think he still needs to die in episode 8 for the canon to still be intact. The episode begins on Brenda 16 years earlier with 4 Jedi taking samples from the planet. We learn that the planet was categorized as lifeless, at least meaning the hyperspace disaster that Indara speaks of killed a lot of the life on the planet, plants and animals included, which is why they are surprised that anything has grown on this planet as of now. The hyperspace disaster Indara speaks of is mentioned in Phase 1 of the new High Republic book series. I haven't read it yet, but I've come across a lot of the main plot lines already. It seems to me Saul was never ready to become a Jedi, much less take a Padawan. You see his emotion and his hasty decisions and his lack of judgment when it comes to advice from Master Indara or instruction from the Council, which we also know the Council was eventually made aware of these witches and their coven. So we kind of need an explanation of how they explained these events to them when they returned. Master Indara got the worst of our judgment, in my opinion. I was thinking the worst of her, partly because she was the first one to get it. But she was trying to stay in control to keep a Jedi too concerned with going home, focused, and keep another Jedi from trying to steal 2 children too old to become Jedi anyway. From what we saw, this was all Soul's fault. He went in early to spy and came out with misinformation, and then came back with a team who looked threatening to the Coven. We also learned that some of the things that we were seeing inside the Coven were also seen from Soul's point of view in the background, spying on the witches. He caught the training session where they pushed the girls to the ground and May blocked her mother's force push with Osha behind her, and that's what he meant when he told Indara that they don't treat them like children. But we can argue that they were treated just like normal children for the entirety of episode 3, except for the training and the ceremony. Soul and Torbin were the worst thing to bring on this mission. Soul comes back with the information about the Force cult, and Torbin immediately says Night Sisters, meaning the Jedi already knew about such cults around the galaxy. Soul has just been out of shape because there are 2 girls there. And let's not glaze over the fact that the Jedi broke in. In episode 3, it was unclear to me if they literally broke in without warning, but they said they sliced through the bridge or gate or something like that. But I would have assumed that they passed someone on the way to the courtyard, but they just literally broke in, then lied to the face of Mother and Seiya about thinking this planet was inhabited, and at that time, they knew it wasn't because Soul already been there. So it even comes off as a lie to a group of fellow Force users. Mother and Seiya seems to enter Torbin's mind a lot earlier than we realize, showing the extent of her power. After the Jedi leave, we see the next conversation. Back at camp, Soul feels a connection to Osha, whereas Indara just thought they offered to train the children to buy time to get guidance from the Jedi Council. We get to see May's training session when we only saw Osha's in the 3rd episode. The Jedi see through her trying to fail the test pretty early, but they also ask questions about the Ascension ceremony, and of course, since they are asking a child, they don't get the full grasp of what it means and how it works. Plus, he remembers that Osha didn't have a dark magic marking, he called it, like May has, so it further makes Soul think that he can convince Osha to become a Jedi. Indara fought to keep the girls with their family, but when they get the blood test back and they figure out that the girls were created, a virgins is what they're calling it, maybe the creation of them instead of the birth of them is what makes it a virgins instead of a dyad, but let me know what you think in the comments. Mother Coral seems to be the cause of May's temper before she went upstairs to start that fire. Yeah, she said, I'll kill you, but as we see how much her sister meant to her over these other episodes, that fire was meant to lock her in a room, which gets out of control like fire started by children do. And as she gets scared and runs away, just then Torbin and Soul scale the wall to reach the courtyard, and they're already surrounded by the witches. Now for the part that gets Soul killed. He killed Mother Anastasia in cold blood because he misunderstood what was going on, and his fear led to the plunging his lightsaber in her stomach before she could fully inhabit whoever she was going to inhabit. And maybe she was going to just pull May out of the situation and go save Osha, but we can't even be sure anymore. But we see Soul feels guilty afterwards, especially knowing that she was going to let Osha go anyway. That's why he doesn't want to fight Coral. He knows what just happened is wrong and his fault. But we see Mother Coral dissipate, I guess we'll call it, and inhabit the body of Kilnaka, the part everybody was waiting for, the Wookiee fight. And while it was great to see, I, like everyone else, would have loved to see him fight for his life earlier against Chimere instead of just seeing his body on Kofar. Soul and Torbin were kind of outmatched by Kilnaka or Coralnaka, and it took Indara to come and save the day. Now, being that they were using the power of many to control Kilnaka, it seemed that everybody connected to him when Indara broke him out of it perished. It almost looked like an accident to her, like she force broke a bunch of necks while she was trying to free Kilnaka. Which force ability was that? But once again, this all falls on Soul and Torbin. Soul for spying and coming back to the camp with misinformation, and Torbin for storming off to kidnap the kids and show the council of potential virgins. We still don't know how May survived the fall, although we did see why her platform gave out first. The cover-up is the part we were supposed to get to. Without the cover-up, things would have been done differently over the years to make amends. Maybe study what they were doing with the Coven. May would have probably been found before she was found by a dark side user. But we still need to know what happens next week to wrap up the Sith of it all. One more episode to go, and I'm going to take 3.5 hours to binge it straight through on my next day off after episode 8. I said early on, I think the show would have been better received like that. I'm glad that we are getting this direction in the High Republic era, going into the Phantom Menace. It does, and it will change perspective on how we see the rest of the saga, which is something I like, and I realize that this fan base kind of hates. The divisiveness of recent Star Wars versus original Star Wars or pre-Disney versus post-Disney has everything to do with the change of direction in the canon dispute. I believe a lot of people wanted their view of the Jedi to stay the same and their view of the Sith to stay the same. And they hate the fact that the Jedi are bad guys in this series and the Sith have some good points. They hate the fact that when they go to watch the Phantom Menace after this, but let's be honest, they aren't even watching the Acolyte anymore. But when they do, it'll make them look at the characters and situations a little differently. I actually love that. For a franchise that is this old with this much content, if things are not happening to change it or make it exciting to watch again, why do I love it so much? If I'm not dying to rewatch it weeks or even days after it airs, how much did I like it? Or do I even need to see it again? Andor changed Cassian's character for me, so I went back and watched Rogue One. Clone Wars Darth Maul makes me want to go back and watch Solo for all the Crimson Dawn stuff. The Book of Boba makes me want to go back and watch Return of the Jedi. If I like a show or movie, the rewatch value needs to be high. If I dislike the show, I don't even talk about it. But that's the difference between me and today's culture of needing to hate everything just to feel included. Episode 8 will be out next week, same time, same place, and then we're diving right into our rewatch of the entire universe. I'll skip the Acolyte series retrospective and dive right into Tales of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace. As always, thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more videos like this and check out all the others on the page already. This is Positively Star Wars, not Negatively Star Wars, and I hope you're enjoying the show as I am. No paid promotion, no shills, no, not related to Leslie Headland. Just glad not to be talking about the Skywalkers and watching Star Wars. Seemed like it would never happen for a while. Again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and this is the way.